They are planning to transform human society. They want to transform it into what you would think of now as a sci-fi movie. They're openly talking about it. They're talking about 2030 and at that period, a year that comes up in relation to many different things. And the idea is to connect the human brain to AI so that, and I'm summarizing here what they're openly saying, and they're openly saying it because they can't hide it anymore. You know, there comes a point where you are under the radar, but when you actually want to introduce it, you can't hide it anymore, so you have to sales pitch it. So you go from hiding it and developing it to selling it. So what they're selling it on is connect your brain to AI and you'll become superhuman. You'll become like the gods. No, you'll become subhuman, not superhuman. You'll become post-human. That's the idea. And people like Ray Kurzweil at Google openly saying that once the AI is connected to your brain, AI will do more and more of human thinking until human thinking as we know it now is negligible and basically disappears. At that point, the human mind will be the AI mind. Up to this point, they've had to manipulate perception to dictate behavior. Their end game is to not even have to manipulate perception, but to become the perception via AI. And that's the point where you become the hive mind, where individuality is deleted. And that's where this is going with the mask, taking away individuality on the, what I call the totalitarian tiptoe to that end.
Take me to 2022, August, 2 years from now. And let's assume, God forbid, that we've acquiesced every single step of the way. What does this world look like?
If you take China today and multiply it 2 or 3 times, that's where we'll be. The brain processes information electrically and electromagnetically. It communicates with the rest of the body electrically and electromagnetically. By 2022, impact on the human environment will be vastly more than it is now. The body is an antenna. It's, the whole foundation of the body is a waveform information field from which the body we see is a projection. So any electromagnetic frequencies that adversely impact on the wave electromagnetic frequency balance of the body field is going to have psychological and what we call physical effects. Got to. The brain processes information, not only electromagnetically, but within a certain frequency band. And if you can access that frequency band with externally generated frequencies, it's been well known. It's been done by governments like the Russian government, etc. Way back in the 50s, it was going on. If you can get your frequency right, you can plant thoughts and perceptions in the minds of people, which they will then experience as their own thoughts and their own decisions, but actually externally being put in. So the more you build this grid of frequency, this sub-reality, and by 2022 it will be some way advanced from what it is now, your potential to control the human mind will be greatly advanced even from what it is now, where you have so much control that there won't even be any resistance, because you won't even manifest the thought to resist or the thought to say no, because you're not in control of your mind anymore. This is the progression towards complete AI control of the human mind. We are literally at the cusp between what remains of human freedom and the end, completely the end of human freedom, even the ability to think what you choose to think. So we're in a period now up to 2030, and I'm being very optimistic with 2030, where we are going to decide the future of the human race, even the existence of the human race as we've known it. That's where we are. Why do they target the young? And now why are they targeting the very young? Because they have a time scale. They have a script. They have a sequence of events. And when they want to complete this transformation in the way I've described to this completely unrecognizable sci-fi world, the young today will be in adulthood or entering adulthood. And so they need those kids today so perceptually programmed that they will submit to anything when the time comes to complete the end game.
In all of your 30 years studying this, did you ever expect such an accelerated period like we've seen in 2020?
It has happened very, very quickly in 2020, but what's the outcome of it? The outcome of it is no surprise to me at all. I was writing about the basic themes of this in the mid-1990s, so it's no surprise what's happening to me at all. Bit surprised in the speed of it, and the speed of it has come from the speed of acquiescence. I'm sure even the cult have been surprised at the speed of acquiescence. Where they want to go, I've known about that for a very, very long time. I've been trying to get across, taking it out of this hidden into the public arena. And of course they've been laughed at and been ridiculed and been dismissed. And this is why I said a long time ago, it's got to get really bad before we can turn this around, because only then will people realize that actually this is not some theory, this is fact, and this is real, and this is happening. There's such a chasm between what's going on and what most people think is going on. That chasm is a big gap to jump. And it really can only be jumped, it can only be seen by things becoming so bad that actually you can't deny it anymore. And that's what's happened to a lot of people in the last few months, which is why so many more people are looking at this information and starting to do their own research, which is brilliant. The legacy of this is not going to be health, it's going to be economic. And we're just about to see the scale of that. What they've done is destroy independent businesses and the independent employment with those businesses of vast numbers of people. Nothing even like what's coming. And look who's taken the brunt of it. Not the major corporations, not the Amazons who have benefited enormously from it, but small businesses, medium businesses. With the lockdown, basically smacked them round the head with a baseball bat by shutting them down. And now they're opening or giving the opportunity to open some of them, those that haven't gone out of business in the meantime. And what they're actually doing symbolically is, having hit them round the head with a baseball bat, they're now letting them bleed to death. Because the regulations, the impositions on business means they simply can't get the throughput. Because of all the social distancing and regulations, they can't get the throughput to make a profit and survive. And so they're going to be falling and falling and falling. And with every one that falls, more people are falling into the lower strata of the Hunger Games society. This is why the 1% people, they're talking about a universal guaranteed income. But they're not doing it out of altruism. They're doing it because it's part of the control system, because it will come with strings. You can get your meager guaranteed income only if you do what you're told. They are planning to transform human society from what we've known, and I was born in 1952, I remember the world, there was nothing like it even is now, nothing like. They want to transform it into what you would think of now as a sci-fi movie, because the same people, the same cult that's behind all that's going on now, they are the same force that is in the midst of moving towards connecting AI to the human brain. Connect your brain to AI and you'll become superhuman, you'll become like the gods. No, you'll become subhuman, not superhuman. You'll become post-human, that's the idea. Once the AI is connected to your brain, AI will do more and more of human thinking until human thinking as we know it now is negligible and basically disappears. At that point, the human mind will be the AI mind. Up to this point, they've had to manipulate perception to dictate behavior. Their end game is to not even have to manipulate perception, but to become the perception via AI. And that's the point where you become the hive mind, where individuality is deleted. And that's where this is going with the mask, taking away individuality on the, what I call the totalitarian tiptoe to that end. And the whole transhumanism is to replace the human, so what we call human just becomes literally a computer terminal on an AI internet of this cult and the force that's behind the cult. Up to 2030, and I'm being very optimistic with 2030, where we are going to decide the future, because the idea is to introduce autonomous vehicles for everything. So you don't drive a vehicle anymore, it drives you. And the computer driving it will make sure that you can't go anywhere the system doesn't want you to go. So there's even more control. And anywhere you do go, the system will know absolutely everything about where you are. Every conversation in the car will be accessible, etc., etc. And of course, you can't have an autonomous car that runs with a petrol engine. So it has to be electric. The whole system has to be electric. So what they've done is they've introduced this other hoax called human-caused climate change, which allows them to centralize power and dictate from the center to save the world. You look at what the centralization of power because of the centralization of power because of the human-caused climate change, we must save the world, and the same force is behind both. And of course, the human-caused climate change is a massive woke agenda. And they've orchestrated that woke mentality to push it through Extinction Rebellion and all these things. But to save the planet, we must go to electric cars. It's nothing to do with save the planet. It's making that transition from the petrol engine to the electrical system, which becomes the autonomous vehicle. Those autonomous vehicles are coming down the line very fast, which is why I say this interim period of a drivable electric car is going to be quite short in their plans. And all over the country now, they are changing the nature of the motorway system, what you call freeway system in America, and they're calling them smart motorways. And they're changing them in ways that are dangerous. And people can't, why are they doing that? It's so dangerous. They're changing the system of the road system of Britain for autonomous cars. That's why they're doing it, not for vehicles that we have now.